Now, one thing I won't do is question Alex. I'm done. I won't question whether or not he can wrestle. I won't question any of that anymore because he has proven it time and time again that whatever he is doing is right. And it's allowed for him to become one of the greatest fighters of all time. Yes, he is one of the greatest fighters of all time in the shortest amount of time I have ever seen anyone build a legacy that is that strong or a resume that is that strong. This dude's the man. And if he gets through this next challenge, if he gets through Ankalaev, I'm going on the record and saying that light heavyweight is going to have a Peloton problem.
Well, I agree with that. I think that Pereira will probably end up being the favorite just because, you know, when you're looking at that, you're looking at Ankalaev's ability to take people down, and that has traditionally been a potential weakness or attack vector that people have tried on someone like Alex Pereira. Obviously, when you get one of the best strikers to ever walk inside the octagon, that should be your approach. Take the guy down. Do not trade with someone like Pereira. But you know, I think that Pereira knows this. He's been working on it. I see a lot of grappling training that he's been a part of, and that's going to be the key to his success. If he's able to stop the takedown, he's going to increase his odds greatly. If he catches anybody on the feet, they're in trouble. Not to say Ankalaev's not too shabby on the feet either, but I love that that fight is happening.
But Alex has had enough time now, and he's been working on his wrestling, especially the defensive part. He's not going to be easy to take down. He is a big, strong man. He's a large human being. He's good at, he keeps his hands down anyways. You know, he's kind of like the Jiří. He's got his hands down low all the time, which makes it more difficult to get the takedown just off the bat. You know, Fedor used to do it the same way because if his hands are low, it's easy for him to scoop you up, stop the takedown attempt. And Ankalaev, in the end, he's going to have to work harder for those takedowns, and I don't think in the end he's going to work that hard for him. He'll separate and think that he can do it on his feet, and that's going to be his undoing.
If Ankalaev will keep his word, because I'm the man who's taking a word seriously if you say something, and he said he will fight with Alex just in stand-up, and if he will keep his word, I think Alex will win. And even if not, that will just show he is not the man of the word.
I don't like the narrative that we're gonna have going into this fight, where it's got this Dagestani wrestler versus this incredible striker. He's not gonna wrestle. He's not. I would put money on it right now. He doesn't shoot a takedown unless he's like on his way to being unconscious. That man is not going to shoot. There was one takedown attempt that happened in my fight with him, and I'm the one who shot. Like, he's not going to wrestle. He said it. You have to look no further than his own words. I will not. He has no reason for me to think he's a liar.
I look at this. I'm like, Ankalaev cannot afford to spend too. I think he'll stand, but he's either got to be all the way in, closing that distance, make it a clinch fight, or he's got to be all the way out. You know, but if you're all the way out, we saw what happened with the Jan Blachowicz fight where he got kicked to the shins and all of a sudden he couldn't walk. And he was winning that fight, I believe, until the end of the second round. Then he couldn't walk anymore. Do you think that Jan's kicks are going to be as good as Alex's? I mean, a couple kicks and we're going to see what happens in this fight. We're going to see if Ankalaev can take those shots, those leg kicks, because every fighter thinks they have a plan when they go in there. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. 3 kicks later, the game plan's different.
Magomed Ankalaev, as Anthony Lionheart-Smith suggested, and I intimated, is not some chain takedown guy, right? There's not. Who's the best wrestler in the light heavyweight division, or the guy who prioritizes offensive wrestling the most? So let us just for a second handicap Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev, because I don't think Ankalaev's going out there and providing the Merab Dvalishvili type of challenge that Sean O'Malley had to deal with.
Ankalaev should be the rightful favorite, as my partners DraftKings have him listed over Pereira himself, because he's a Dagestani wrestler, and that Dagestani wrestling is the hardest thing for a kickboxer like Pereira to deal with. And I've pled with you, letting you know, no, he's not. He's not a wrestler. Not according to him. I understand that he can wrestle. I understand that he wrestles a lot, and I understand he's very good at it. But he's not a wrestler. If you went and they asked the guy, what are you representing? What sport? Much like Khabib would say Sambo, Ankalaev says kickboxing.
You know, there's something different about Poatan. There's something different about this guy that gives him, that he has that X factor. You know, his absorption rate and how fast he learns. You know, Glover speaks highly of what he's able to do thus far with his grappling. And, you know, I just seen him this past weekend over at Karate Combat, and he's monstrous. Like he's got like a little bit of gigantism in him, like with his hands and his head, and just, you know, he's got this heavy bone structure that's definitely unforgiving, you know, and a guy like that is such a natural puncher with accidental power, not even really trying. So, you know, if you zig when you zag with him, he would have put you out, man. But I feel like, you know, with his matchup, you know, he's got this matchup with Ankalaev, and of course, we know that Ankalaev has that Dagestani wrestling ability, but he doesn't have the implementation of it, and I feel like that could be a problem for him because, you know, he's one of those fighters who fights with an ego and wants something to prove. Yeah. Well, I can prove I can stand up with you, and that's when you find yourself in the most trouble.
His striking is nowhere near at Pereira's level, and his takedowns aren't that good. You know what I mean? Like, he's got grappling, but I don't like. He's not a I don't know. And you can only imagine Pereira's been practicing with Glover in his corner for since day dot.
Because Glover's always telling me that he's working his jiu-jitsu really hard. That he trains in the gi sometimes too. Like, I mean,
the gi gets you right.
Yeah, the gi gets you tight really fast. So, even when he fought Jan Blachowicz, I was actually really impressed with that. Like, Jan took his back early, dry, not tired. Yeah. And he was getting dominated, but he wasn't taking any big punches. He was just positionally getting dominated, but he was doing all the right things. And he was able to shut out, like, okay, I'm taking a couple of these rabbit punches, but I need to address what's most important right now and not worry about the punch. So, like, he was doing the right thing. So I was actually really impressed by that.
With that being said, you go back to the Blachowicz fight. Can he do something similar to that? But Blachowicz was able to keep the fight standing for a majority of the fight. The fight ended in a draw. Now, I don't think Alex Pereira is coming out to fight to no draw. I just don't see it, my man. I just don't see it.
Here's the thing. Does Ankalaev have a lot to prove here, BC? Yes, he does. No question. Absolutely. But in a way, doesn't Poatan also have a little bit to prove here in terms of you got to fight a number one ranked guy in this division who can maybe wrestle you, who maybe should have been champ himself quite some time ago, and you've been fighting these guys who are just going to slug it out with you, and he's not necessarily going to be that guy. Yeah, there's something a little bit to prove with that, and I think that's what makes the fight interesting and intriguing.
With all that being said, Ankalaev said he's not wrestling him, Ben.
If he does that, he's a moron. And I don't know him, so hopefully he's not a moron.
He said he's not wrestling him. But he also said he goes to all the UFC fights to get free alcohol and camera time. On the other hand, I've been training so hard. March 8th, the alcohol will not help you. This is what Ankalaev is saying to Pereira. But if he stands with them, I mean, why? Why would you stand with him?
I have no idea. I don't know.
That's really not his game. The only time he really went heavy wrestling, a little bit in the Paul Craig fight, and then the Jan Blachowicz fight when he was essentially down 2 complete legs. So it's not really his style. Does he have the ability to? Yeah, probably.
I'm trying to find career statistics for Magomed Ankalaev. Takedown accuracy, 31%. The point remains, in certain divisions, that real pain in the ass wrestler that's just going to make for a suffocating night at the office does not exist.
I think Ankalaev is going to have to try to wrestle him. I think that's kind of the thought that he's posturing, saying he's going to stand with him, trade with him, because him and Rakic had a good fight, but it was relatively competitive, and he just stood with Rakic the whole time, right? So it's like, I don't know if standing the whole fight with Alex Pereira is the greatest idea.